Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. This is one more additional video to this whole Google Sheet portfolio build. I figured what I would do is show you how to use a headless CMS in order to add a blog feature to the portfolio. So that way your portfolio not only has a list of projects that's being created by Google Sheets, but you also have this place where you can write blog posts and they just automatically show up on your website. But I don't think I have this project any longer on my computer, so I'm going to clone it. Okay, so might as well show you so you guys can see how to clone things. Okay, cool. Let me just make sure this is the one I think it is. App.js. Yes, this is the one I'm looking for. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this code URL right here, copy, head over here, open up the terminal, do a git clone, and then I'm going to copy it in a folder called portfolio. So I add the word portfolio there at the end. That way it doesn't, like by default, it'll clone it in a folder called mock portfolio, the name of the repo. But you can always add an argument if you want to put it in a different name. So there it goes. There's my portfolio. Good. So let's just open that up with live server, make sure this is what we think it is. And yep, there we go. Refresh. I just those first two images don't want to show up, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So what I'm going to want to do, we're going to say I want a blog that shows up right down here. Okay. So first, let's just scope that out in the HTML. So go over here. Okay, actually, I'll put the blog in the footer. Why not? So h1, my blog. And then here we'll have a section, and this section will have an ID of blog. So I can grab that div later, or grab this container later, and we can inject all our stuff in there. Okay, good. So now when I look over here, I see my blog. Oh, I see, because it's grabbing all section elements. So let me do this again. Let's make this just a div then. Refresh. There we go. My blog. I'll do all that styling stuff later on. Now what we're going to use is a website called AgilityCMS. It's one of many headless CMSs. Okay, a non-headless CMS is something like WordPress. So if you ever use like WordPress, you know, you get this nice dashboard. You can build your whole website without code, because you have this place where you can do all your data, and then WordPress already has like templates built in to generate the front end website. Basically, what a headless CMS does is removes that front end part. So instead of deciding how your front end is going to be built, it just gives you a visual dashboard to manage your data, and then delivers your data via JSON APIs in the same way we took the API from the Google Sheet. Okay, so you can get a free account. So you just set up a free account. Okay, I'm logging into mine, which I think I set up with GitHub. Although, let's do this from scratch. Let me log out. Okay, I will just create a new account so you guys can see me go through the whole process. So I'm going to just do Alex Merced FNM. Cool trick with your Gmail address is you can add a plus sign, and you can type like stuff there so that way you have infinite email addresses. So I can just do Alex Merced FNM plus, we'll just call this headless at gmail.com. Okay. So that way, if I already had one under my normal Gmail address, I can just do plus like headless 1, headless 2, headless 3, have multiple accounts. And they're all going to the same email box. Chip. Wait, no, this is login. I need sign up. Sign up with email, password. Let's just whatever. So I'm signing up. Sure, why not? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then it's going to ask me for details. So I'm like, hey, my name is Alex. It's me. Okay, I'm a developer. Loop, loop, loop. I'm going to create a blank project. I want it to be free. And I'm just going to say teach headless CMS. Okay. Cool. And here we are. Now what we need to do is create a data model. So our data model, think of it as like a table in a database or a spreadsheet. Like one spreadsheet, think of it as one spreadsheet's one model. Okay, and then the model had like different titles. So like for like our projects, you had like the name, the links, all those different fields. But that all overall was one data model. So what I need to do is create think of it as like a sheet or a database table for my blogs. So I'm gonna head over to models. Okay, and what I need to do is create a new model. Content definitions right here. And we need to add a content definition. So I click there for content definitions. I'm going to click on add a content definition. And we're going to call this a blog. Okay. And we'll just call it blog lowercase. And each instance of the blog type is a list of blogs. Okay. So we want to say it's a list. So it's not like you create a new blog and it's just one entry. It's a list of entries. Okay. So there's our blog model. I hit save. And now I can actually define what kind of data is in this blog model. So I'm going to click add a field. And most headless CMSs work pretty much the same way in some shape or form. You create models, then you add data. So in this case, let's create a title field. That's the title of the blog post, which will be text. Okay, and you can put more details here. I'm not going to. And then we're going to say every blog post also has a body. Okay, which will be multi-line text. Cool. Okay, and then I'll hit add field. And I'll keep it simple and just do it that. So I'll save and close. Okay, so there's my blog model. And now I need to actually add content to this model. So I have data to actually pull. So I'll click on content. And what I want to do is add new content. Okay, so I need to choose what kind of content am I adding. I'm adding a blog. Okay, and then we choose a name. Simplest thing to do is just call it my blog. Okay. And so this will be a list of content. So this will be a list of blog posts. So I hit save. And now I've created this list. So I can create multiple blogs just by creating multiples of these lists. So now I can just create one just by hitting plus here. I'm going to say I'm going to create a new thing. And then there's the title and body, because those are the two fields that we specified belong to our blog model. So we'll say post number 1. And then we'll just put some gibberish. Okay, so there's our first post. I will save and close. Then I will add a second post. Post number 2. Okay, cool. And then I hit save and close. Now these pieces of data don't show up until they're published. So right now, see, right now they're status staging, which means they're ready to be published, but I haven't published them yet. So I'm going to highlight both of them. I'm going to click publish. Yep, publish the content. And they'll be published in a second. In the meantime, let's start constructing the URL that we need to fetch the details from. So I'm going to open link in a new tab, the settings. Okay, and then here in the settings, free domain, what I want to do is deal with the API, because we want to pull the data. So here's going to be all our API keys and stuff. And I'm going to delete this account right after the video, so I don't care if you see this. But generally, you don't want people to see this. Generally, you want to keep this private. Now, where do I remember the docs? Okay, maybe not there. Here we go, question mark. Let's click on that. Quick start, learn about AgilityCMS. Add a page. Now I want to create. want to use the API. That's what I want to know. Okay, content API. Here we go. So let's start going to here. Okay, benefits, I get all that. What we want to do is find the URL. I mean, I have somewhere where I have the basic URL to use, but I want to show you guys how you would look for this, because there's a lot of different ways to use this. So this way you know where to look for the documentation. But yeah, anytime you use a headless CMS, you have to spend some time reading through the documentation. JavaScript SDK, there we go. So I want to look at that. Now what they want me to do is create my own like little mini backend app and then use like their library, which would be easier technically. But for that you need to be more familiar with like Node and stuff like that. If you are familiar with Node, that's great, but I'm trying not to go quite there in this video, so I want to keep it simple. Okay. So, where was it that I found how you can AgilityCMS? I mean, I do want to refer to this later. Okay, specification, open API. Here, I think is what I'm looking for. Okay, is this stack path? I think so. Let me check. Click here if this is going where I think it's going to go. No, not what I'm looking for. There's a place where you can like just generate your specific URL. Exploring the content fetch API. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay. What you want to do is go to Swagger. And then here you can see all the different endpoints. And endpoints like sort of like what's at the end of the URL. So let's start constructing our URL. So let me go back to, where was it? Well, we don't need this anymore. What I do want is, let's open this up again in a new tab. Okay. Okay, fine. So what we want is to get a list. Okay, that's what we're getting. So we're use this one because we're getting a list of items, in this case the list of blogs. So here's all the different parts that we need to fill into the URL. Okay, and then here it'll generate the URL. Okay. Although this looks like it's just, here we go. We're gonna click try it out. And now we need to fill all this stuff in. Okay, and we get all this from over here. So my instance GUI ID is that. So we'll enter that into the Swagger thing here. Okay, I actually want to fetch the data for I always forget I think it's like USN, like that, US English. If you want to grab that, I'll double check in a second, but unique reference name of the content you wish to see, the current language. So I'll be lowercase, so we need to go look at our lists again. So I'm gonna go back here, go back to my content, and I can see that my list is called my blog. So that's the list. So I'm gonna put that there, my blog. I'm not grabbing anything in particular, I just want to grab that full list. And then we can click, let's see if it's working, additional fields, items. This is not reflecting the actual data. Let me see, can I try this? Cancel, try it out. It's showing me the example URL. Where GUI ID. We also need to put our API key somewhere. Let's try changing it to preview. I don't think you need the API key for preview. Authorize. Yeah, we need to add our API key. So let me grab that from over here. So API key is this right here. Control C. Go back there. Authenticate, authorize. Close. And now fetch. Language, API type. Language, list. Yeah, that should do it. This is all an example. Okay, well, bottom line is this. I've done all this already before, so I actually have it all right here. So we can find the answer very quickly by going to so that way you don't have to watch me reread through this whole documentation. Although, again, I do encourage always exploring the documentation and learning how to read it, but building a blog with AgilityCMS. So we added some content, and essentially here's what we need to do. Okay. So let me go back over here to our JavaScript, and we'll just interject what we need to interject. Okay, so again, this was all just to do the sandwich menu. So next thing we need to do is the blog. There we go. And essentially all we're going to be doing here is doing a fetch. And I can just take it from this blog post. Okay, and then essentially here we want to put the GUID, which again we can get back from our dashboard on AgilityCMS. So I go over here, and again these are just security measures, so that way they make sure that like you're grabbing the right user stuff. So I'm going to put that in a string like that, and then we'll grab the API key. Generally you're going to want to hide this stuff. But right now we're just practicing. Default.live. Okay, so there we go. And see, like the GUID gets interpolated into the URL right there. And again, I called that list of stuff my blog, so that's there. And then the API key is being passed right there because we put in this variable API key. Okay, this is an AJAX request, and this is a little bit more complicated of an AJAX request because we need to pass in these headers in order for the request to work. Okay, Agility needs these headers. Think of headers as putting like your name on an envelope. Like if I didn't see it, the envelope was coming from someone I know, I might throw out the envelope. So these are the details that allow me to kind of give the API, Agility's API, the information they're expecting. Okay, and yeah. So I had already kind of figured all this out because they want you to use their JavaScript SDK, which again, I'm trying to not use Node for this particular tutorial. So yeah, if you use the Node SDK, this is a lot easier. But I want to show you how you can do it just plain raw HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, .then. So let's just see if it's working. So let's go back to our thing here. Open up. Let's see. Are we receiving the data? Right now I'm just console logging it. Cannot access API key before initialization. Let's take a look. Const API key. Why does it think I'm accessing the API key before initialization? Because we're defining it here. Are we still inside of another .then by chance? I don't think so. API key, API key. Let's refresh. Okay, that time it'll work better. So let's take a look at the items in the array. So here we have this item. Items. There's post number 1. but I don't see post number 2. Let's take a look. Did post number 2 publish? Post number 2 did publish. So we should have both posts in the API data. So let's double check this again. Refresh. Post number 1, yep. But why is not post number 2? Let's explore. Let me try adding a third post. Post number 3. And let's save and close. Let me select post 2 and 3 and let's publish. Publish all 3. This is the my blog list we can see right there. Okay, now they're all published. So let me refresh the site, see if we do the I'm going to do this with a shift refresh just to make sure we do a fresh request for everything. Okay, good. Now we are getting all 3 items. So see, there we go. Post 1, 2, and 3. Cool. So we're getting the data. But again, see, like, look at the way this data comes in. It comes in an object, and the object has this property called items. It's an array, and inside of there, each one has like all the stuff packaged into another thing in fields. So like, let's make this neater. Okay. So let's make this nicer. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do const post equals response.map. Let's map the response. And then again, each item in the array is a post. And actually, it's not even response. It's response.items. .map. And each post, all we really want to get back is post.fields. Okay. And there we go. Why? Because we want to map over the array that's in items. And all we really want is the field section of each post. So I'm just making an array that's just literally the fields. So map is mapping over the existing array and giving me back an array that's much nicer. And let's just double check that. Console.log posts. Let's see what that array looks like. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this page. Okay, and then here's the second array. And see, like, this array looks a lot nicer. See? Post 1, body. Post 2, body. That's a much nicer looking array. That's the beauty of map. I can take one array that's ugly, turn it into something that's a little bit more usable. Okie dokie, and all we want to do now is just render to the screen. So we will just loop over the data. So we'll just say post dot for each, and then for each post we're going to do stuff. Okay. So first, let's actually I'm going to select that blog, that div I want to put the blog in. So const blog equals, okay, jQuery $, and this is going to be a, I think it was the ID of blog. Let me just double check. So I go over here, and yeah, the ID is, oh, I put the ID is changed at the blog. ID of blog. Okay. And then what we really want to do here is create a new div. So we'll say const a new div equals a new jQuery div. And then actually here, I want to use $sign here because it's a jQuery variable. And then for each div, we will set the HTML of that div. Okay. And we're going to say that for each div, we're going to have an h1 that is the post. I mean, this is the, we're going to put in the post.title. Then after that, a p tag with the post dot body. And that's it. Now we just have to append that div. So it would be blog dot append, and then we append the new div. And then that should add all the blog posts to the thing. So let's get out of mobile mode. See, do we see the blog posts? No, not quite. Let's see here. Did it append it? Let's refresh. Oh, yep, this time it did. So there you go. Post 1, post 2, post 3. Then we just style it. And then anytime I add a new post over there on Agility, it'll just automatically show up here. So if now I don't have to update the site like ever again. I can just go over here to Agility. So this is great for like a freelance client, because that freelance client, like, they don't need to know how to code to use this. They can just add like whatever post over here. So we'll just say post number 4, more gibberish. Then I'll publish it. Yeah, publish the item. Item publish. Let's see here. Is it that's published? So now if I go back to my website and I refresh, let me do a hard refresh. And see, there's post number 4. And I didn't have to change anything because it's just looping over the data. And when I add posts, it just adds the data. So now I can just style this blog portion, make it look nice and pretty. And now my portfolio technically has a blog built into it. You could put this on a separate page. You could do whatever you decide you want to do. Point is, that's how you can use a headless CMS to add a blog to your portfolio. So using Google Sheets, we were able to get the data for these projects. Using Shoelace, we made these nice little cards. Using AgilityCMS, so you've learned how to use a headless CMS. You've learned how to use. We've talked about using jQuery, Shoelace, web components. You know, basically, if you work your way through this tutorial, you've learned to do quite a bit of things. So my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy. And again, if you need this snippet of code, it's over there at toots.alexmercedcoder.com in this particular blog post, building a blog with Agility Headless CMS. Just follow the tutorial and walks you through what I just walked you through. So have a great day and enjoy.